Canada's relationship with India appears to be thawing. It reached a breaking point, as we know, in 2023 over tensions after the murder of Canadian Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. But Prime Minister Mark Carney's government is signaling a new approach to India as he looks to diversify trade relations away from the United States. For more on where Canada's relationship with India could be headed, we are joined by Sanjay Ruparelia. He is the Yaroslavsky Democracy Chair at Toronto Metropolitan University and Senior Fellow at the Asia Pacific Foundation of Canada. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So in August, so just last month, Canada and India reappointed high commissioners to each other's countries. Both positions had been sitting empty since Canada and India expelled diplomats in October. Christopher Cooter is the new high commissioner for Canada to India. How significant is this appointment?
I think it's an important attempt, as you said, to unfreeze this diplomatic crisis that had erupted over 2 years ago. And I think it's the early beginnings, the first steps to see whether there can be a restoration of trust and a normalization of ties between the two countries. And we've also seen India's counterpart also appointed as well.
Canada and India have held on and off free trade talks since, 2010, so the last 15 years. What are the main issues keeping both sides from reaching a deal?
Well, India's always been a tough country to negotiate with on trade, partly because the biggest sticking point almost always is the agricultural sector. It employs millions of people in India, and so liberalization of agriculture, which has often been in Canada's interest, has often been a sticking point, and not just with Canada, with other countries as well. You can see that with the United States recently as well. President Trump has railed against India for a number of reasons, and one of them was on protection of the agricultural industry. But there are also prospects here between Canada and India in critical minerals, energy security, trade in other areas, particularly advanced technologies. So I think we're going to wait to see what happens on that front.
As we know, India is currently Canada's 7th largest trading partner. In 2024, two-way trade between the two countries was nearly $31 billion. So how could Canada benefit from deeper trade ties with India?
So India is the world's fastest growing large economy, and so in that sense, it's just really important as a potential destination. It's a large consumer market. It's growing very rapidly. And as Canada is facing a Trump shock, just like India is, both countries, like many other countries in the world, are trying to diversify both their trade and investment opportunities as well as security ties. Now, the U.S. still remains the most important country for Canada, but it's become very difficult and fraught. And equally for India, it's quite striking. India and the U.S. have had growing ties for about 2 decades across defense, trade, and security issues. But just in this summer, things really unraveled. India actually faces much higher tariffs than Canada, 50%. And just recently, this week, President Trump said that the H-1B visas, which are critical for many Indian immigrants coming to the United States in sectors like IT, pharmaceuticals, accounting, other professional services, the fee for that has gone up from $2,000 to $100,000. So that's a real shock. And so there are opportunities here again for Canada's IT sector. If there was a need for highly skilled labor coming from India to fill those critical positions, there's a lot of room for cooperation on both sides. And that's what I think you've seen both countries do, and sort of signaling that they're exploring areas where there may be a mutual benefit.
Yeah, you just mentioned, that 50% tariff that the U.S. has imposed on India. Donald Trump claimed it was because India was buying Russian oil. How do you think the U.S. would and could react if Canada forms a closer relationship with India?
It's hard to know how it would react, precisely because, President Trump himself is quite erratic. We just saw this week in the UN General Assembly where suddenly, after looking like he was siding with Russia for quite some time, saying that he was going to support Ukraine to take back a lot of the land that it lost in that war, has been losing in that war. So it's really hard to see consistency coming out of the White House right now. I think in the case of Canada and India, the important thing is to restore bilateral relations as much as possible without taking their eye off mutual security concerns. The Canadian government has signaled very clearly that it's the ongoing investigation into alleged activities of foreign interference continue. India has also signaled its concerns about security concerns and We've seen that in the CSIS reports this summer, saying that there's still a concern about possible foreign interference by India. At the same time that they're taking their security concerns over Khalistani extreme activities seriously as well. So I think we're still in the early phase of this restoration of ties, and we'll have to see where it goes. But both countries have a real incentive now to try to forge a better partnership, precisely because they both face a Trump shock.
Sanjay Rupa-Ralia, thanks for your thoughts this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.